Let me guess. You think travel is supposed to be fun, relaxing, an escape from the stress of everyday life. But let's be real. How often does it actually turn out that way? Missed flights, lost luggage, bad weather, unexpected delays, rude strangers, overpriced food. Travel can be a complete nightmare if you're not mentally prepared. But what if I told you that the secret to stress-free travel isn't about planning more, packing better, or spending more money? It's about how you think. The best travelers aren't the ones with the perfect itinerary. They're the ones who can handle anything with unshakable calm. And that's exactly what Stoicism teaches. This isn't just another travel hacks video. We're going deeper. I'm going to show you how the ancient wisdom of the Stoics, philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, can turn you into a traveler who thrives in any situation. No more stress, no more frustration. Just absolute control over your mind, no matter where in the world you are. Sounds impossible? Stay with me. By the end of this video, you'll have a new way of looking at travel, one that makes every trip smoother, richer, and honestly, way more enjoyable. But only if you're willing to shift your mindset. So, are you ready to travel like a Stoic? Let's get into it. Number 1. The No Comfort Challenge. You're too comfortable. Yeah, I said it. And before you roll your eyes, hear me out. Comfort is sneaky. It lulls you into this warm, cozy, predictable bubble where everything is easy. But easy isn't always good. Ever notice how the more comfortable you get, the less patient you become? A minor inconvenience, and suddenly the world is ending. A delayed flight, a bad hotel room, a meal that isn't exactly what you wanted. Boom, your whole mood is wrecked. Now, imagine flipping the script. What if, instead of avoiding discomfort, you trained yourself to embrace it? We've all been there. You book a trip, imagining pure bliss, sunset views, silky sheets, perfect weather. Then reality slaps you in the face. The hotel bed feels like concrete, your Airbnb smells off, and public transport is basically a survival game. And what do? Complain. To ourselves, to customer service, to the universe. But let's be honest, has complaining ever really made a situation better? Or does it just make us more miserable? Here's where the No Comfort Challenge comes in. It's simple. On your next trip, strip away a layer of comfort on purpose. Book the budget seat. Take the overnight train instead of the quick flight. Choose a no-frills hostel over a luxury hotel. Eat where the locals eat, even if there's no English menu. Walk instead of Ubering. Basically, make things slightly harder for yourself. Not because you have to, but because you can. And before you start thinking, this sounds like self-inflicted torture, let me tell you why it's genius. The human brain adapts. When you intentionally expose yourself to discomfort, two things happen. First, your tolerance for inconvenience skyrockets. You stop sweating the small stuff because, well, you've trained yourself not to. Second, and more importantly, you develop a kind of mental flexibility that makes life, travel, work, relationships so much easier. You stop expecting perfection and start rolling with whatever comes your way. You become the kind of person who laughs off a missed train instead of spiraling into frustration. And that's a superpower. I remember the first time I tried this. I was in Southeast Asia, and instead of taking a short flight between cities, I booked a 12-hour sleeper train. And by sleeper, I mean a narrow bunk with a mattress so thin it felt like a joke. The air smelled like instant noodles and someone's sweaty backpack, and every time the train hit a bump, I thought I was going to launch onto the floor. But something crazy happened. I actually enjoyed it. Not because it was comfortable, it wasn't, but because it forced me to slow down. I watched the landscape roll by. I had a random, broken conversation with a local who shared their snacks with me. I slept, kind of, and when I finally arrived, I felt good, like I had earned the experience rather than just zipped through it. This challenge isn't about suffering, it's about control, learning that you don't need external conditions to be perfect in order to enjoy yourself. It's about turning discomfort into an adventure instead of an obstacle. It's about proving to yourself that you are so much tougher than you think. And when you can sit in the middle seat of a packed bus, or deal with a freezing shower, or eat something questionable with a smile, life throws way fewer curveballs at you, because you've already learned to handle them. So, on your next trip, I dare you, ditch the comfort. Choose the harder option. See how it changes you, not just as a traveler, but as a person. Because real freedom, it isn't found in 5-star hotels or first-class lounges. Number 2, the no-plan journey. Imagine landing in a new city with no hotel booked, no itinerary, no idea what's next. Sounds reckless, right? Maybe even a little terrifying. But hear me out. What if this was the best way to travel? What if instead of planning every detail down to the minute, you let spontaneity take over? No schedules, no reservations, just you, the open road, and whatever happens next. We've all done the perfectly planned trip, the kind where you research for weeks, make a color-coded itinerary, book everything in advance, and somehow still end up stressed. Because plans, no matter how meticulous, always find a way to fall apart. A delayed flight ruins your schedule. That must-visit cafe turns out to be overrated. You rush from one landmark to another, snapping pictures, checking off lists, but never really being there. And for what? To feel accomplished, to say you did it all. But did you actually experience anything? That's where the no-plan journey comes in. The idea is simple. Don't plan, or at least plan as little as possible. Book your ticket, maybe the first night's stay, and that's it. Let the rest unfold naturally. Instead of forcing a city to fit into your schedule, let yourself fit into the city. Wake up without a plan. Walk in whatever direction looks interesting. Get lost. Talk to locals. Eat at the tiny hole-in-the-wall restaurant you randomly stumble upon. Say yes to things you wouldn't normally consider. In short, travel like life is happening in real time, because it is. I tried this once in Lisbon. No itinerary, no list of must-dos, just me and a backpack. The first morning I wandered into a small cafe run by an old man who barely spoke English. He made me the best espresso of my life and pointed me toward a street with the most beautiful tilework I'd ever seen. Later, I met a group of travelers at a market who invited me to a live fado music show. That night, I sat in a candle-lit bar, listening to hauntingly beautiful songs I wouldn't have even known to Google. None of this was planned, none of it could have been planned. And yet, it was the most alive I had ever felt while traveling. Now, I get it. The idea of winging it makes people nervous. What if I don't find a place to sleep? You will. What if I miss something important? You won't, because the best moments in travel aren't on TripAdvisor. They're in the spaces between. The unplanned coffee conversations, the wrong turns that lead to unexpected wonders, the serendipitous encounters that no itinerary could ever predict. This isn't just about travel, it's about mindset. The more you practice going with the flow, the more adaptable, open, and fearless you become. You stop gripping so tightly to the illusion of control. You learn to trust yourself, to trust the moment, to trust that even without a perfect plan, things have a way of working out. And that's real freedom. So, the next time you travel, ditch the checklist, loosen your grip, step into the unknown, and let the journey surprise you. Because the best experiences aren't the ones we plan, they're the ones we never saw coming. Number 3, the silent traveler experiment. Most people travel to see new places, But what if I told you that the real magic of travel isn't in what you see, it's in what you notice? And the biggest thing standing in your way, your own voice. Yep, talking, asking questions, filling silences. It keeps you from truly paying attention. That's why I want you to try something radical, the silent traveler experiment. 1 full day of traveling without speaking, no small talk, no asking for directions, no chit-chat, just silence. Sounds strange? Maybe. But trust me, this will change the way you experience the world. We've all been there. You're in a new city, excited but slightly overwhelmed, and what's the first thing you do? You start talking. You ask the hotel staff for recommendations. You chat with your travel buddy about where to go next. You pull out your phone to check reviews, narrating your options out loud. Without realizing it, you create a bubble of familiarity, a layer of noise that shields you from the actual experience of being somewhere new. But when you stop talking, when you stop filling every moment with words, something incredible happens. You start to observe. Here's how it works. You wake up, and instead of immediately checking your phone or making plans with words, you just go. You walk, you watch, you listen. If you need something, a meal, a ticket, directions, you figure it out using gestures, pointing, or simply paying closer attention. You become an observer rather than a participant, blending into the world instead of bending it to fit your expectations. And suddenly, you see things you would have missed, the way locals interact, the way the morning light hits the rooftops, the tiny details that make a place real. I tried this once in Kyoto. I spent an entire day in silence, not out of rudeness, but as an experiment. I wandered through temples, sat in a tiny ramen shop, walked along the river and just listened. And for the first time, I felt like I wasn't just visiting, I was absorbing. I noticed the rhythmic slurping of noodles from the people around me, the way an old shopkeeper carefully arranged his products, the quiet hum of the city at sunrise. There was no pressure to comment, to react, to perform being a traveler. I was simply there. Now I know what you're thinking. What if someone talks to me? You smile, you nod. If absolutely necessary, you say the bare minimum. But the goal isn't to be mute. It's to be present, to break the habit of filling every silence, of constantly asserting yourself into a place, instead of letting it reveal itself to you. And the best part, when you finally do speak again, your words will have more meaning. Your thoughts will be clearer. Your experience will feel richer, because for once you actually lived it instead of just talking your way through it. This isn't about isolating yourself. It's about recalibrating how you experience the world. It's about realizing that silence isn't emptiness. It's space. Space to think, to feel, to notice things you've been missing. So next time you travel, try it. Even if just for a few hours, step into silence and let the world speak to you. You might be surprised by what it has to say. Number 4. The one-bag minimalist. You don't need more space. You need less stuff. I know, that sounds extreme. But hear me out. What if I told you that you could travel anywhere, for any length of time with just one bag? No checked luggage, no overstuffed suitcases, no hauling around things you might need but never actually use. Just one backpack, one carry-on, and total freedom. Sounds impossible? It's not. And once you try it, you'll never travel the same way again. We've all been there, overpacking. You start with good intentions, but next thing you know, your suitcase is bursting at the seams with just-in-case outfits, extra shoes, backup toiletries, and that book you swear you'll read this time. And then, you end up dragging all of it through airports, struggling with zippers in tiny hotel rooms, and realizing halfway through your trip that you're wearing the same 3 things anyway. Why do we do this to ourselves? Simple. We pack based on fear. The fear of not having options. The fear of being unprepared. But what if, instead of carrying your anxieties in your luggage, you carried confidence instead? The one-bag minimalist strategy is simple. Pack only what you absolutely need and nothing more. One backpack, one carry-on max. Every item must be versatile, lightweight and essential. No just-in-case items. No but what-if outfits. If you truly need something later, you can buy it. But spoiler alert, you probably won't. The secret to this method. Realizing that freedom doesn't come from having more, it comes from needing less. I tried this on a month-long trip across Southeast Asia. One 30-liter backpack. That's it. A few shirts, 2 pairs of pants, a couple of essentials, and a small pouch of toiletries. And let me tell you, walking off a plane, skipping baggage claim, and heading straight into adventure. Priceless. No waiting, no dragging, no stress. Every morning, I didn't have to overthink what to wear or what to carry. I just grabbed my bag and moved. It was like traveling with an invisible superpower. I felt lighter, freer, and more present. And here's the crazy part. I never missed a single thing I left behind. Now, I know what you're thinking. But what if I need something? You won't. Or if you do, you'll adapt. But I love options. Great, but do you really need 5 pairs of shoes for a weekend trip? But what if the weather changes? Layer up. The truth is, most of the stuff we think we need is just weighing us down. Not just physically, but mentally. Less stuff means less stress, less time repacking, less worrying about lost luggage, and more time actually experiencing the place you came to see. This isn't just about travel, it's a mindset. Learning to live with less teaches you what actually matters. It rewires the way you think about possessions, convenience, and freedom. So next time you travel, try it. One bag, no extras, just the essentials. See how it feels to move through the world lighter. Because when you stop carrying so much, you finally have the space to focus on what really matters, the journey itself. Number 5. The moneyless challenge. What if I told you that for the next 48 hours, you couldn't spend a single cent? No credit card swipes, no Venmo transfers, no digging through your pockets for loose change. Nothing. Just you, your resourcefulness, and the world around you. Sounds impossible, right? But trust me, this challenge isn't about deprivation. It's about something way bigger. Breaking free from the illusion that money is the only way to experience life. We've all been conditioned to believe that money equals security, comfort, and access. And yeah, in a lot of ways it does. But have you ever noticed how easy it is to throw money at convenience? Hungry, order food, bored, buy something, need a ride, pay for one. It's almost automatic. But what happens when you take money out of the equation? You're forced to engage differently, with people, with places, with your own creativity, and that's when the real adventure begins. Here's the challenge. For a set period, let's say a weekend, you don't spend any money, not because you're broke, but because you're testing yourself. How do you eat? How do you get around? How do you entertain yourself? It's not about suffering, it's about hacking the system. Maybe you cook with what you already have, swap skills for a meal, or find community events that offer free food. Maybe you hitch a ride, walk, or use public bikes instead of paying for transport. Maybe you rediscover the magic of parks, libraries, and human connection instead of paid entertainment. I tried this once, and let me tell you, it rewired my brain. I found a free yoga class in the park just by striking up a conversation with a stranger. I learned that bakeries sometimes give away unsold bread at closing time. I traded an hour of website help for dinner at a cafe. And the crazy part, I wasn't just getting by, I was thriving. I was meeting people, learning new things, and feeling more alive than I had in a long time. Because when you strip away money, you stop being a passive consumer and start being an active participant in life. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds unrealistic, but is it? Or have we just become so dependent on money that we've forgotten how to navigate the world without it? What if I run into a real emergency? You plan for it. This is a controlled challenge, not recklessness. Why would I even do this? Because it forces you to see abundance where you once saw limitation. It makes you realize how much is actually available when you step outside the transactional mindset. At the end of this challenge, you won't just save a few bucks. You'll gain something way more valuable, a sense of freedom. Freedom from the idea that your experiences are dictated by your bank account. Freedom from the constant urge to spend, and most importantly, freedom to engage with the world in a way that's raw, real, and ridiculously fulfilling. So, are you in? Try it. Just for a weekend. No money, no excuses, just you and the world. Let's see what happens. Thank you for watching. I truly hope this video gave you a new perspective on travel, one that helps you stay calm, adaptable, and fully present no matter where you are in the world. If you found this helpful, go ahead and hit that like button. It really helps get this message out to more people. And if you're into mindset shifts, philosophy, and practical strategies for a better life, make sure to subscribe because there's a lot more coming your way. Know someone who stresses out when they travel? Share this video with them. They might just need a little Stoic wisdom to change their experience. And I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me about a time you had to stay mentally strong while traveling. Ever had a delayed flight, a lost bag, or a completely unplanned adventure? How did you handle it? Let's build a community of travelers who don't just go places. They grow through every experience. Remember, you can't control every delay, every setback, or every unpredictable twist in the journey, but you can control how you respond. And that's what makes all the difference. Stay strong, stay present, and I'll see you in the next one.